We all have days where we get out there and just one person after another getting doors slammed in our face all day. But we still get up the next day and we do it again because we know that all it takes is that one person to let us in their home that could completely change our week. So today, I wanted to talk about a phrase that kind of goes around quite a bit. And what I'm talking about is when people are talking about kind of like what they're looking to do and uh, where they want to go with things. And I mean, you hear people say all the time, I'll do whatever it takes to make it happen. I'll do whatever it takes. And I was sitting around just thinking about that yesterday. Like, what does that really mean? What do people really think about when they say that they'll be willing to do whatever it takes? And so I put together what I feel are some key components to that phrase of of what it means to do whatever it takes in our business is a key component to doing whatever it takes. We got to be committed to reaching our goals. How much money do you want to make? How much money do you need to make? You know, we all have bills. We all have things that we have to work for or work towards. So, I mean, I think that's one big part right there. I mean, how much do we have to make? And that's really what our focus needs to be on. And then what other things do we want or need or what we're looking for in the future? We can focus on how much money we need to make right now, but like, where do we want to go with this? How much money do we want to make and down the road? And you know, what's it going to take to motivate us? You know, somebody once told me, I remember when I was looking to build a house, or really wasn't even ready to build a house yet at the time, but I remember I was looking, me and my wife and I, we were looking at houses. And I remember showing this one guy some homes that we were looking at. And he's like, just go ahead and buy it. Just go ahead and put an offer in. And I was like, well, I'm just not ready yet. He's like, it doesn't matter. He's like, put yourself in a situation where you have to make money. It's just something I've always thought about when he told me that. I've always thought about that. And actually, about a year and a half ago, one of my agents, kind of the same thing, similar situation. He was having trouble with his car. I mean, heck, our business, we do a lot of driving. I mean, if you are in field sales, I mean, you're doing a heck of a lot of driving. And so his car just, it wasn't dependable. And he's like, I need a new car, Adam, but I don't think I'm ready yet. I don't think I got enough money set aside to really get into a new car right now. And I told him, I said, you know what, just go make it happen. I said, go out there and just buy the car. Maybe you don't even have to put any money down. Maybe they'll just give you a loan with nothing down, and that's going to push you to get out there and work. And that's what he did. He said, all right, I'll listen, I'll take your advice and I'll just go do it. And that's what he did. And he still has his car. It pushed him to get out there. It gave him something to work for. So that's, I guess, you know, sometimes maybe we need to have something in our mind of things that maybe we want or things that we need to push us to maybe work a little bit harder to reach our goals. To me, I don't know, I'm much more motivated when I think about just different things that I want or need that I got to push to work towards, and not just going out there and focusing on numbers like I have to write this much business today, or I want to put up this much premium. I want to make sure that, well, like I said, if I have like even just any sort of item or anything in mind of just something that I might want or need in the future, to me, it pushes me to maybe work a little bit harder. I think also we got to be committed to a schedule. And with that, when we put together a schedule, we do have to kind of focus on the first part of our goals. How much commissions do I need to earn to reach my goals? And how many apps do I need to write? And how many people am I going to have to sit down with to be able to write that many apps? And how many leads am I going to need to assure to have enough people to sit down with? And how early am I willing to start my day? And how late am I willing to stay out? we talked a lot about this the last week or two. We just turned the clocks back, I think. I can't remember one way or another. But anyways, it's lighter out later now at night. What's nice about that? I mean, heck, people that we go see, people that inquire about insurance. Well, a lot of them are working during the day, and the only time that we can reach them is in the evening, maybe on the weekend. But the nice thing, might not have to work as many weekends now that we're able to catch up with a lot more people later in the day. And you've probably heard me say this before, but why would I want to head home at 5 o'clock at night and more than likely probably be sitting in traffic when really I could just stay out a little bit later and have that many more opportunities to see people. When we're spending money on leads, we don't want to miss out on opportunities, and we want to get as much out of our leads as we can. And what happens, I mean, there is a lot of carryover from one week to the next, but what usually tends to happen is that our focus tends to shift to the newest leads that are coming in. And then there's a lot of older leads that can fall through the cracks. But if we put enough time in, a lot less leads are going to fall through the cracks because we're going to be putting in that much more time. We're going to be getting up earlier. We're going to be staying out a little bit later. And as I've said too in the past, I mean, I just don't like going home with regrets. I don't like going home with that feeling of I wish I would have stayed out a little bit later. What would have happened if I would have stayed out a little bit later? I went home with nothing today, but maybe if I had stayed out another hour or two while it was still light out, maybe I would have caught a few people at home. Maybe I would have wrote some business and came home with something instead of nothing at all. So that's why it's important to put that time in so you can get the most out of your leads. But this all coincides together with everything. Like I said, I mean, this is all related back to those goals that we're talking about too, and putting that time in to assure that we make enough sales to reach those goals and to make this sort of money that we want to make. We also need to be committed to a consistent lead order. Leads are the name of the game. I mean, there's no magic potion behind writing business or finding people to see. The magic, I guess you could say, is the leads. You got to have that steady flow of leads, and you got to be consistent with it. Kind of like what I said, where there's a lot of carryover from one week to the next. But if you take one lead order and you go through them and you don't want to move on to other leads until you completely disposition every single one of the leads from the order that you're working, you're setting yourself up to fail. I mean, honestly, because you're not going to have enough to keep busy. And I mean, I've even learned, I mean, it's just the importance of consistency. And I think really just consistency in business altogether when it comes to all parts of our business. Kind of like everything we're talking about, committed to a schedule, like I talked about, committed to our goals, but also being consistent with that schedule. And heck, you set that schedule and the days that you're going to work, the hours that you're going to be putting in. You could treat it just like a regular career, like the 9 to 5, but created in the hours that that you need to work. It's not a 9 to 5 job. It's more of like a 9 to 9, really, to be honest. I mean, there's nights, especially in the summertime, I'm not pulling in my driveway sometimes till after 9 o'clock at night. It's just part of the business. Like I said, are you willing to do whatever it takes? But that consistent lead order, like I said, there's the carryover from one week to the next. And what happens, I mean, it gets to the point where you have that inventory of leads. And that's really what you want. You want to have more than enough people to see than not enough. Having more than enough people to see is a good problem to have. So you got to be committed to having a consistent lead order if you're willing to do whatever it takes to succeed in business, in our business. You got to be committed to your family as well. You got to remember your family, they're betting on you too to succeed. I mean, we're not working a salary position where we go into work every day and our boss tells us how much money we're going to make. there's a lot of uncertainty there. But again, we got people that are on our side that are dependent on us. So we got to do what we can to make enough money to satisfy everybody, to make sure that everybody can live a good life. So we got to be committed to our family as well, and do what we can to support them and do as much as we can to be successful for them. Another component of doing whatever it takes to succeed is persistence. We always run into obstacles and setbacks, but how will we react when obstacles arise? Those committed to doing whatever it takes to succeed understand that setbacks are inevitable, but view them as temporary challenges to overcome rather than insurmountable barriers. A few of my local guys that I've been working with, I wanted to commend a little bit about this with being persistent over the last week or so. I really appreciate that. We talked about Isaac last week on the call. He was on last Friday. He mentioned how when him and I were out working some leads, he had an appointment set. We went to see the person and she was not home, which happens. Heck, no shows, same thing, part of the business. But he didn't give up on that lead. He went back 3 more times. And on the 3rd time, he put his business card under her door with a note. She ended up calling him and he ended up making a sale. So right there, that just shows, that effort and being persistent, not giving up on that person that inquired for a reason. That's one thing we always got to remember. People are filling the cards out. They're inquiring on Facebook. What other method they're finding a way to seek insurance? Well, they're doing that for a reason. They know they need it. We got to do whatever we can to help them get it. And sometimes it just takes that extra effort with being persistent. And then also one of our other new guys, Scout. It was like his 2nd day out in the field last Saturday. How many guys on Saturday stay out till like 8, 9 o'clock at night? Well, it was like his 2nd day out in the field. And I think he just kind of went out there with that attitude. I'm going to do whatever it takes to write some business today. And he was persistent. I'm sure he had doors slammed in his face, people telling him no all day, but he stayed out there. And he finally got that sale at the end of the day and almost got locked up in a senior home because the doors were closing up and he had to ask someone to let him out because he was there that late. But same thing, just that commitment and being persistent, not giving up on a day and doing whatever he could to finally make that first sale, his 2nd or 3rd day out in the field. And then Matt. Heck, Matt, a couple things. He had another one too, staying out late. But another one, he told me he went up to a lead. It was a direct mail lead from last June. It was one of my old direct mail leads that I gave him. And the first time he goes to the door, he knocks on the door, doesn't get anywhere. He rings the Ring doorbell, which I never really like ringing those Ring doorbells because you just never know. If they, heck, they could be right on the other side of the door and just not be willing to open the door and talk to you. So, usually I'm just going to knock on the door, but sometimes as a last resort, we'll ring the Ring doorbell. And he did. And they pretty much said, not interested, but he didn't give up. He left, but that wasn't the last of him. He went back and he went back a few times, and then he was actually able to set up an appointment and he went back and ended up writing some business there. So, being persistent, a lead that most agents would have given up on, he didn't give up on. And he was able to write some business, which is pretty awesome, especially on a lead that was like from last summer. So that's another thing too to keep in mind too when we're talking about leads and direct mail leads. They just really don't get old. You got to have that mindset that people are probably receiving these lead cards all the time in the mail, and they might have just filled out another one a few days ago. So if anything, they might think that you're getting there pretty quickly. That's kind of how I treat them. I never act as though it's an old lead. I'm never like apologetic about it taking forever to get there. Like I treat it as though they just sent this thing back last week, because in my mind, more than likely, they probably did receive something within the last few weeks, and maybe they even filled it out. Matt, too, I wanted to commend for doing whatever it takes when it came to generating business at a senior complex. He had a lead where his lead really didn't give him the time of day. Wasn't He got there and just couldn't really get anywhere with the person. Same thing. It's part of the business. We're not going to write 100% of our leads. But when he was in the elevator, he started talking to somebody else that was probably in the same predicament as that lead, the same age, the same demographic. This person was interested, and he was able to sit down with that person and make a sale. Well, those are the sort of things that are going to separate, the top producing agents from those that are just going to do enough to get by. Doing that little extra, not being afraid to go up and talk to people that, like I said, are probably more than likely in that same predicament as the person who filled the lead card out. I'd also like to commend anyone else who felt good leaving a home with a sale this week after being rejected by that same person in the past. I know that that's happened to many of us, where maybe maybe you didn't get anywhere, but you went back and ended up writing some business. So if that was you this week, well, thank you. Also, trying to reach people multiple times. I wanted to commend anybody who door knocked a lead 5, 6, 7 times and was finally able to catch that person and did not give up on that lead and was able to write some business. Because that's another thing. I think a lot of agents, sometimes they might give up on a lead a little bit too soon. So those of you that did not give up on your leads too soon and were persistent and ended up writing business, thank you. And you know what? Your extra efforts, they paid off and they put more money in your pocket. The next component to doing whatever it takes to succeed in business is resourcefulness. When I was at a company convention years ago, I met a guy who was making 6 figures a month. What do you think I did? I tried to learn everything I could from this person because they were better than me and they were making 6 figures a month. Why would I not want to learn everything I could from this person? Take advantage of your resources and the people that are surrounding you, that are willing to help you and support you, that know the business. And it's only going to help you get better. People who are willing to do whatever it takes will go out of their way to try and learn from those who are better than they are. Another part of resourcefulness is learning new skills. One thing that I'm still working on is getting into Medicare. Been so focused on final expense for 21 years. I did a little bit of Medicare when I first got licensed in the business, but learning new skills. Once I get this Medicare thing down, heck, I'm just going to be making that much more money talking to the same people that already are in some sort of Medicare plan, more than likely. And heck, if I can help them and maybe put them in something a little bit better, great. Heck, that's just that much more money in my pocket, and I'm doing a good thing for my client. Learning new skills too when it comes to those that maybe are just getting into field sales, or maybe they are just getting into telesales. Heck, we talk about COVID, and that's when telesales really became a big thing in our business. Well, we all had to learn it. If we wanted to move forward and continue to be able to write business, we had to figure out how to do it. We had to do whatever it took to figure it out, to be successful if we wanted to stay in this business. I think also forming strategic partnerships to enhance your chance of success. Line yourselves up with people, like I mentioned, that can help you get better. Me and Chris, we've been doing a lot together this year, and I feel like everything for the both of us is getting better by the work that we're putting in to really make something big happen here for everybody. So I think forming good partnerships with people that are like-minded, that kind of have those same end goals, is only going to help an organization get bigger and better. Another part when it comes to resourcefulness, I would say, are just all the different podcasts, all the different audio that you can download, even our podcast. Heck, we've got like 59, almost 60 episodes out already. We just started this back in October, the audio version. And I mean, heck, if a new agent like got a hold of that podcast and just sat around and listened to it for months, there is just so much content there that's going to help them to be better than most people in the industry if they're willing to commit and listen and learn it. But not only our own podcasts. I mean, I listen to so many different podcasts throughout the day. Podcasts that focus on mindset, podcasts that focus on sales and growing, and just staying in a good, most importantly, really just kind of staying in that good mindset. I mean, heck, especially if I'm having a bad day or something out in the field. I mean, I need to figure out a way to kind of shift back into a good mindset and be motivated. So yeah, I listen to tons of different podcasts, different audio books, sales books. I mean, heck, when I first got in the business, I mean, I had to go and buy audio CDs and listen to them in the car. Now, heck, it's so easy to just download audiobooks. I have a subscription to Audible. For those of you that are new in the business, I mean, the top salespeople that really helped me when I first got in the business, just listening to sales, Zig Ziglar, Brian Tracy, Tom Hopkins were really the three that I listened to a lot. Brian Tracy, The Psychology of Selling, is awesome. I think it's a good listen or a good read for anybody. But yeah, I mean, the more we can listen, the more we can learn. I mean, we can never really stop learning. Another component is being able to adapt to change. Like Chris has said too, we can't get married to a carrier because products change. Sometimes they go away completely. Like I mentioned too, I'm just working on getting into Medicare. Another thing with Medicare, I know that they have rules that change a lot. Well, got to be willing to learn and adapt to the different changes that are happening if you want to remain in business. So got to be willing to adapt and change. And then risk taking is another component. I think success often requires stepping outside of our comfort zone and taking risks that can lead to significant growth and progress towards achieving our goals. Ordering leads and betting on ourselves. That is a risk. We don't know if we're going to make any sales off those leads, and leads are not cheap. Leads are a big investment. So ordering leads, that to me, that's a risk, but that's a risk that you got to be willing to take, especially if you are wanting to do whatever it takes to succeed. Another risk is door knocking leads. That's getting a lot of people out of their comfort zone. People that maybe never thought that they'd want to get involved with something where they actually had to just walk up to somebody's house and knock on their door. Well, again, when we're working leads and we want to get as much out of those leads as possible, even if we are calling and setting up appointments, not everybody is going to pick up the phone. I mean, these days, especially, I'll be in a home talking to a senior, and the whole time I'm there, their phone is ringing nonstop. And I'm always joking around, wow, you're pretty popular. And they're like, no, it's just all these telemarketers that just won't leave me alone. And a lot of them are probably insurance agents calling off of the Facebook leads while I'm there in their home selling them. Had I continued to just keep calling and calling and calling, I would have been right in line with the rest of them. But sometimes you got to take that effort, get out there and door knock the leads. And that's how you're going to get the most out of your leads, because like I said, not everybody is going to answer the phone. And calling and setting up appointments is even maybe a risk that takes some people out of their comfort zone. Me, actually, I mean, well, I'm happy I had the appointment setters that do a lot of that for me, because I've never really been one who has really liked being on the phone or calling people. I tried the telesales thing about a year ago, put together a program for it, but it just wasn't for me. I like sitting down with people. I just feel like I'm just much better at that, building that relationship face to face with people. But calling and setting up appointments, that gets some people out of their comfort zone. So to me, that's another risk that you got to be willing to take. I mean, heck, yesterday I wrote a piece of business. It was a lead that just came in. It was about an hour from where I was at. And I picked up the phone and I called the guy, because I mean, heck, I didn't have any other leads in that area. If I would have drove out there not knowing if the person was going to be home, I would have wasted a good 2.5 hours of my day. So I called the guy, talked to him, let him know that I received his inquiry and that I just told him I was actually going to be in your area in a little bit. I wasn't, but that's what I told him. I was actually going to be in your area in a little bit. And I told him I'll probably be by in about an hour or so. He said, okay, that'll work. And ended up writing him. I think it was like around $1,200 in annualized premium. So, I was out of my comfort zone a little bit because I don't like calling. I'll work the appointments when the appointment setters set them, but I just have never really been a big fan of calling the leads. I prefer to just take them and door knock them and show up. But I have learned a lot over the last year and a half or so, seeing how Chris works and the amount of business that he has done with having the appointment setters that kind of set up the schedule. And like I've always said, if someone else is doing it, it's just a matter of figuring out what they're doing and why change things. If it's working for them, let's kind of set the same things up for ourselves. And that's what I did. Had that steady lead flow going now. Every single week I have the leads coming in, and then I have my schedule with the appointment setters that they'll get on the phone, they'll set up my schedule, and I'm setting myself up to put up a heck of a lot of premium, just like Chris does. Another component to doing whatever it takes is having integrity. While the pursuit of success may involve making tough decisions and sacrifices, it's essential to maintain integrity and ethical standards throughout this journey. Success achieved at the expense of others or through doing things dishonestly or fraudulently is not success at all. It's fake success with short-term gains and long-term consequences. So we talk about even those that they fall into the spot where they're like in desperation mode, where they'll just do anything that they can to make a sale. Well, don't do anything you can to make a sale if it just doesn't feel right or like you should or you shouldn't be doing it. If you ever have something like that come up where you're just like, I just don't know if I should do this, you probably shouldn't do it. Because like I said, dishonest or fraudulent business is fake business. It's fake success that can lead to long-term consequences. You can lose contracts. You can lose your insurance license for just doing things that you're not supposed to be doing. So you got to be willing to do whatever it takes, but that also means that you got to do it the right way and you got to have integrity. And then lastly, you got to have resilience. Perhaps most importantly, doing whatever it takes to succeed, it requires resilience, the ability to bounce back from failures, rejection, setbacks. That these are things that will make you stronger. We all have days where we get out there and just one person after another getting doors slammed in our face all day. But we still get up the next day and we do it again because we know that all it takes is that one person to let us in their home that could completely change our week. And we could go from nothing to, I saw one of our guys, I forget who it was, but one of the guys in our group I saw, he was in one home. I think he wrote like over 3,200 in premium this week. Heck, right there. Who knows how the rest of his week was going, but right there, just that, heck, you're getting rejected one person after another. All it takes is, you just got to remember that in the back of your mind. All it takes is that one person to let you in their home that says, yes, I need this. And the whole thing's going to turn around. And heck, you go through a slump, you run into one person like that, you make some good sales, you earn some commissions right there. You can get some leads and you're right back on track to do it all over again. So, overall, I just think doing whatever it takes to succeed, it's about having that mindset of determination. And like I said, having that resourcefulness and resilience to pursue all of our aspirations. So that's about all I had for today. I hope you all learned a little bit. So thanks again.
And this concludes another episode of the Insurance, Life, and Everything in Between podcast. If you like what you heard, don't forget to subscribe, share with a friend or colleague. And if you have any comments or suggestions for future episodes, please leave those too. Any input is greatly appreciated. Thank you.